let's talk about the gift of self-exploration and how it can help you during those times when you are feeling maybe a bit low and you could use a little boost. Now, I often talk about getting curious about those uncomfortable feelings, those uncomfortable emotions, and yes, that is absolutely imperative in helping to promote personal growth. However, there's also a time to get yourself back to feeling good, because again, we attract more. I say again because I talk about this a lot, but we attract more of how we're feeling. So we want to keep ourselves feeling good as much of the time as possible. So one little trick, a healthy success habit, as I like to say, that can help boost your spirits is to think of a past success. And you can even take this back to when you were a child, because some of the choices and the decisions that you started to make for yourself as a child later contributed to who you are today. And if you can dig deeper and look back and identify some of those positive choices that made you who you are today, that really helps you to feel really good about yourself, and it helps you to appreciate yourself. I don't think that a lot of us enough of the time focus on appreciating ourselves, and that is important, because in order for us to feel valued by others, we have to first value ourselves. Think about it. If somebody's giving you a compliment and you don't see that in yourself, can you really fully receive that compliment? So I'll share some personal examples, as I like to do, because it can help lock in the message, which otherwise might seem a little bit vague. So let's do that. Okay. So thinking back to, so I was, I don't know if I did this intentionally or if it just kind of happened, but maybe I was feeling not quite my best self for part of the day one day recently. And I started to think back about my younger self. This is actually a practice that I've incorporated into my morning meditation, where I go back and kind of revisit stages of my life just for a moment. It's not like a big hour-long meditation or anything. I mean, it can be, but it's super quick. It's part of my 10 to 15 minutes, sometimes longer if I have it, meditation. But I think back to my younger self. I guess I was probably about 9 years old at this time. I'm not sure. It was I was in sixth grade. So however old you are in sixth grade, and I was a year younger than everybody because I started kindergarten when I was 4 instead of 5. But anyhow, I remember this was my first year in sixth grade, and I was terrified. In elementary school, I was confident, I was popular, I spoke up, whatever. But then in sixth grade, I was totally scared and out of my element because I don't have a good sense of direction. It's gotten better over the years, but I just felt lost all the time in this big school. It was overwhelming. It was a really big school. It was a really old building. And I was always little for my age anyway. And then, as I mentioned, I was a year younger than my peers. And so the 8th graders were much bigger than me. So I was always scared. And also my older sister put the idea in my head, as older siblings can sometimes do, that I was going to get beat up in which I never did. Knock on wood. I'm definitely editing that part out. Anyhow, so I was always scared, and I remember I was standing in line for the bus one day after school. You would go find your bus and stand in line and wait, and I was the first one there, so I was the first in line, and this 8th grader came and she cut in front of me, and she was always kind of a bully, kind of being mean and picking on other kids. And I've always been a high integrity person, meaning I'm going to do what's right. I'm going to stand up and speak up for what is right, whether that means for myself if I feel like somebody's crossing my boundaries, or somebody else. If I always want to help other people. It's just how I am. So anyhow, I was very angry, had some strong feelings. I was really upset that she cut in front of me. And I was also really scared. Like, what am I going to do here? If I don't stand up for myself, she's going to bully me for the rest of the year, maybe the rest of my middle school career here. But if I do, oh my gosh, if I say something, what might happen? She might punch me or something. I don't know. I've never been in a fight. I don't know what to do. So I had a decision to make. All of these thoughts were going through my head in just a matter of seconds. I knew that whatever decision I chose to make was going to affect how I was going to shape really how I felt about how I saw myself and my decisions moving forward. I knew this as a 6th grader, and that is that's really pretty awesome. And I celebrate my high integrity. I'll tell you what my decision was in a moment. And my just awareness, this just inner wisdom and knowledge that I tended to have from a young age. So anyhow, my decision, even though I was terrified, was to speak up. So I stepped in front of her and I said, I was here, you don't cut in front of me. And I showed no emotion on my face, no fear, but my heart was pounding out of my chest. I was terrified. Oh my gosh, what might happen? Is she gonna beat me up now? I mean, I was really scared. And she rolled her eyes and stayed behind me and never bothered me ever again. So this memory came to my mind when I was doing my morning meditation, and I gave my younger self a salute, and I celebrated and appreciated my younger self. And that integrity that I formed, that I chose, is something that is a quality that I carry with me today. And I guarantee you, you have a quality, or likely many qualities, that you chose to begin instilling in yourself as a kid from a young age, that you continue to carry through, that are part of what shapes who you are today. And that is something to celebrate, because that is you. That is your mindset that shapes your choices, that then dictates your actions, that then creates your life. So take a moment to celebrate yourself, a past success. And if you can take it back to your younger years, that just is really gonna boost and elevate your self-esteem even more. So that was one. And then I also, so that was 9-year-old Amy. I think about it in terms of that, and I challenge you or invite you to do the same kind of exercise. Then I also think back to when I was 15 years old. This was a pivotal moment in my life. I was really kind of going on a downward emotional spiral. My home life was really, really not good. I was grounded all the time. My mom and stepdad were like not talking to me when I was grounded. So these are my formative years where I was ignored and kind of dismissed and ostracized by the family. And I was really forming a very low opinion of myself. I just felt really unhappy. So I was 15 years old, and I'm getting closer to graduating high school. I was a sophomore, and I knew if I don't get a handle on how I feel about myself, my self-esteem, I'm going to be really feeling like bottom of the barrel in college, and that's not going to be good for me. I need to make a change here. And I decided to ask my dad if I could go live with him in a little tiny town in Kansas. I am not a small town girl, but that ended up being one of the best decisions that I've ever made for myself, because what I did was, I guess that could have been an option for me all of the years before that I was struggling, but I didn't see it as an option until I told myself, you have to make a change. So sometimes when we're feeling really uncomfortable, when things are really not good, and it is time to make a change, and we're not making that change, maybe it's because we don't see an option. But when we decide it is time, that's when we see the option. So then suddenly I shifted my perspective from, okay, I'm just gonna have to deal with this horrible, uncomfortable problem I have no control over, to what if I can change it? And that opens up your mind to, okay, I can change it. And then you start to look for solutions. And then I found one right away, which was to call my dad and ask if I could go live with him. And he said yes. And 2 weeks later, I picked myself up and I moved myself to a completely different environment, and I started to change my life. Now, not to say that everything was perfect after I uprooted myself and started a new life in a different place. But it was the start of rebuilding my self-esteem. And I made that decision for myself at 15 years old. So this is another moment, experience, choice that I salute and celebrate. I salute my younger self and I celebrate my younger self. That in just having the wisdom that I need to make a change, and then the strength to do it, because it wasn't easy. I had to leave my younger brother, and that was a big challenge for me because we were very close and I really didn't want to leave him. And I had friends, and I had a little boyfriend at the time, and I liked my school, and but I had the wisdom that I needed to do that environment was no longer good for me, and I needed to make a change. And then I had the strength to make a change. So 9-year-old self, I celebrate my high integrity, and then 15-year-old younger self, I celebrate the strength and wisdom. And then another memory that I take myself back to oftentimes to help me appreciate myself is 22-year-old Amy. And so I had just graduated college. I took a little extra time graduating because I kind of started and stopped a couple times, but I got there. And I decided that I wanted to pick up and move to a city I had never been to. And so I did. I got online, I made some calls, I got an apartment, and I packed up my car and I drove way far away. Parents were not happy with that one. But anyhow, what I love about that younger self, that, my 22-year-old younger self, Amy, is my curiosity, my wonder, my ability to get excited. And that's how I felt that whole time on that trip. I was excited about the unknown. I was bracing the unknown. I was curious about what opportunities I might open up for myself in making this change, the people that I might meet. And I really celebrate and salute that younger self as well. So the qualities in each of these younger selves that I celebrate that helps me to boost my self-esteem when I need to, and even when I don't need to. It's always good to celebrate yourself and be grateful for the qualities that you appreciate yourself at the start of the day. So this is something that I encourage my clients to do. We do it at the start of each session, and then I do this myself each morning too as part of my meditation. I think about 2 wins that I'm celebrating. They could be big or small. I think about 2 things that I'm grateful for, and then I also identify my emotions, how I'm feeling, and this helps me to continue to be increase my self and social awareness and to appreciate myself. So these qualities, if I think back to each of these choices, are integrity, strength and wisdom. I'm kind of coupling those into one, and then creativeness and wonderment, I guess you could say, just my ability to be creative and wonder. And all of those qualities put together shape who I am and all go into what I do today and in how I help other people. So I guarantee you that you have many really great qualities that you started from a young age. And if you can give yourself a moment to take yourself back there and think about some choices that you made as a kid, some experiences that were maybe challenging that you pulled yourself through, that you carried yourself through as a kid, that made you strong, and you still encompass those qualities today, and that is really awesome. So if you need a little pick-me-up, this is just one example of the gift of self-exploration and how further examining and looking within yourself to your past experiences, which led to past successes and or achievements, can help you to encourage yourself, build your belief in yourself that you can achieve that next thing or that thing that you're maybe going after right now. And it can also just lift your spirits when you need it. And you can do all of that for yourself, and that is self-empowerment. Thanks so much for watching. If you got some value from the video, I invite you to like, subscribe to the channel, and that way you can stay updated on my next video. See you soon.